that time again. We are now on to the books that I read in September of 2023. This year has gone so fast. It is unbelievable. September seemed to fly by, and I haven't read anywhere near as many books as I'm normally reading. I can't think why I didn't read that much in September. I think it was just a really, really busy month. But anyway, I have thought I will actually go through why I haven't read them at the end. I have remembered now. First book I read was Lee Grossman, The Magicians. This came as a recommendation on a website about books to read if you loved Harry Potter. And this was a book that was advertised on that. I didn't realise until it came that it has been made into a TV series. I can't find it at the moment to watch it, but I will do. Essentially, it is a similar story to Harry Potter. It's also similar to Narnia, to be honest. In fact, in many ways, it's more similar to Narnia. The first part of the book, they went to a magical school, but it wasn't a secondary school where you go at 11 like Harry Potter. This was a university. Americans, I think, call university still school, whereas we wouldn't use that term. So they went to college. So it's a significantly older book. So there is more sex, more death, more everything, because it's older, and that's fine. But it was really, really good. And then the second half of the book became more Narnia-esque. They went to another world. Quentin Coldwater is brilliant but miserable, a high school math genius. He is secretly fascinated with a series of children's fantasy novels set in a magical world called Fillory. And real life is disappointing by comparison, whereas when Quentin is unexpectedly admitted to an elite secret college of magic, it looks like his wildest dreams may have some truth. But his newfound powers lead him down a rabbit hole of hedonism and disillusionment, and ultimately to the dark secret behind the story of Fillory. The land of his childhood fantasies turns out to be much darker and more dangerous than he ever could have imagined. So yeah, a very good. Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. It was a different version of the world that we live in. It was going to a college of magic. It was really good. So following on from Liv Grossman's The Magicians, I read the follow-up, the sequel, The Magician King. So this all takes part when everybody's qualified from the school, and it's taking them a story further. Meet Quentin Coldwater, king of the bizarre and wonderful land of Fillory. But even in heaven, a man needs a little adventure. So when a steward is murdered on a morning's hunt, Quentin gets exactly that. Yet this quest is like no other. What starts as a glorified cruise to faraway lands soon becomes a step of nightmares. This is the story of the Voyage of the Dawn Treader from Narnia, but told just about a different story, obviously. But essentially, that is what this book is. The first book was The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. This is the Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Again, adult-fied. It's adults that are taking part in this. And so what they do and how they get up to things and the way they act and behave is adults. So yeah, again, very good. Typical fantasy book. I struggled a little bit with this one. I think I got bogged down a bit. I think that might actually have been in the second half of the first one, but I ploughed through it, and certainly there were aspects of this that I really, really loved. Really loved it. So anyway, that was what took me a lot of time to read in September. The next one was the book that from the book club that my children bought me. They went to charity shops at Christmas, bought me books, wrapped them up for one for me to open each month. This was September's book, The Perfect Wife. Another great book, actually. Abby wakes in a hospital bed with no memory of how she got there. By her side is her husband, Tim, the driven British founder of one of the world's most groundbreaking tech companies. They met when she joined his startup as an artist in residence, their marriage a Silicon Valley fairy tale. But as Abby's memories return, she realises there is something missing from Tim's version of events, because 5 years ago, Abby Cullen Scott was pronounced dead. So this is a high-tech book. Makes you think. I'm going to say there's an AI involvement in this, and this book does question the role of AI in society and where it could go and what it could do, and what the impact would be on other people. So I'm going to leave that there on that. And it was a really good book. It raised some questions and it did make you think. I really did enjoy it. So it's by J.P. Delaney. I would actually read more books by them, even though this isn't the sort of book I normally pick up. I would actually read another one because it really did make you think. Okay, so that was that one. The next one was Cory Doctorow Pirate Cinema. I have no idea how this book arrived in my TBR pile mountain, which I've got, but it was there. I picked it up to read, and it was fantastic. Trent Macaulay is obsessed with making movies, but when his illegal download habit causes his family's internet to be cut off, he's forced to run away from Bradford to London. Squatting in an East End pub, Trent falls in with a band of activists who introduce him to dumpster diving, graveyard raves, and the anarchist girl of his dreams. When a new bill threatens to criminalise internet creativity, the future looks bleak. But the film industry fat cats and the MPs they hold in their pocket hadn't reckoned with the power of a gripping movie to change people's minds. So, set a little while ago, and in that sense, it is a little bit dated because it was during the times that I remember when we used to buy pirated DVDs and pirated CDs, and we used to download our music and burn it onto CDs and things like that illegally. And it's set in that world, but taken to the future. So it's set kind of now, but without realising that streaming was going to become the way that we watch films and listen to things, so that this sort of world didn't happen. But it was still interesting. It raised the issue of the impact of taking the internet away from people, what it would actually do to their lives. And I think that there's concepts there that we have to be really wary of nowadays, when we're looking at people who are living in poverty, that the one thing they cannot do is get rid of their internet and their phones, their mobile phones and their smartphones, because without that you cannot live. And it also raised the issue of post-COVID, the talking about getting rid of cash, and just how devastating that would be to creativity and the sort of people who drive the creativity and the entrepreneurship and all of that in society. It's not the rich and powerful coming out of Oxford. It's the people living in squats and other places who are breaking the rules and twisting things a bit. They're the people that actually drive innovation and creativity. So this was a book that really went into that world, a world I would love. And this basically is a book this is the life I would have wanted for my teenage years. If I could have chosen a life, it would have been this. So yeah, absolutely loved it. And I would definitely, he has written other works. I can't see what this other one is called. It's just got a raised fist. I can't read its title. Let's see if I can see it in here. Homeland and the Rapture of the Nerds. I think this book is about 10 years old. So yeah, it's definitely sort of predated streaming. So yeah, but absolutely loved it. Really good book. From that, I went on to read Fred Hoyle, The Black Cloud. This is another End of the World books. Richard Dawkins calls it one of the greatest works of science fiction ever written. I'm not sure I'd agree. Basic premise is really good. There's a big black cloud coming towards instead of a comet coming, it's a cloud that's coming from outer space, and no idea what impact that's going to have. It's heading straight for Earth. Is it going to block out the sun? Is it what happens if it does block out the sun? All of those things. It does come, it does block out the sun, and then there's the aftermath. Very good story, boring writing, so much science. Now, I'm sure if you're a Richard Dawkins and want to read all about how the cells are being manipulated or how light refracts, you'd love it. But for me, it was 3/4 of the book could be cut, and then it would have been a gripping short story. But it was just too much science for me, so it actually wore me down and killed my creativity. So yeah, look, I did like it, but I would not recommend it to anyone unless you're a complete science geek. So those were the books that I read. Now I've remembered why I didn't read very much in September, and I am going to come on to that. The reason why I didn't read a lot was because we took out a new subscription to Audible. We had a subscription to Audible years ago, but we cancelled it because we got so many audiobooks we just didn't really feel like we needed anymore. But we started up another one now, and one of the things that's in there is they had the complete works of Jane Austen, which was one of their free offers. And when I downloaded it, I realised that they're dramatised versions of it. But I absolutely loved them, and I listened to Persuasion, Sense and Sensibility, and Pride and Prejudice. Now, I know the story of Pride and Prejudice inside out, but I didn't know the story of the other two as well. So I listened to those three, and that took up quite a chunk of time when I would normally be reading. So whether you include audiobooks in your reading list or not is a choice for each individual person to make. I do include them, but only if I listen to them from beginning to end. I don't include them if I dip in and out of them and fall asleep and things like that. So these I listened. Obviously, I didn't listen to it all three books non-stop. I stopped when I was doing other things and then came back to them, but I didn't do anything else in between. So yeah, I did listen to Persuasion, Sense and Sensibility, and Pride and Prejudice. But the Audible is offering a lot more now for free than it did when we were members of it before. So much so that we're not spending all our credits. But anyway, we'll come on to that again in the future. So yeah, this including the audiobooks this month, I read about 10 books. So again, well on my way to getting the 100 books that I want to read this year. So I will be back soon with what I read in October.